Welcome back. A deal to end the government's fiscal paralysis is on the table. A Senate vote is expected around dinner time tonight, with a House vote to follow. Not everyone is embracing this deal, however. The Club for Growth is urging all House and Senate members to vote no on this plan.
But it is a deal, albeit a temporary measure, lasting only through January. So what's the plan for the longer term, and more importantly, has the damage to our reputation in the global economy already been done? Let's talk about it with Maya McGinnis, president of the Committee for a Responsible Budget. She's also a member of the Committee to Fix the Debt, chaired by Simpson and Bowles. And Johnny Isakson is a Republican from Georgia and a member of the Senate Finance Committee. Thank you both for joining us. Senator, I'm going to start with you, if I may, sir. Do you have any sense of the timing of the vote on the bill?
I think the Senate will vote sometime early evening after 6 o'clock, and the House will follow shortly thereafter. Are
there meetings scheduled in the meantime? I mean, what's going on?
Well, the Senate, the Republicans met at 11 o'clock today and then again at 12:30. I think you'll see a very strong vote in favor of it coming out of the Senate Republicans, and I expect the same out of the House Democrats. Probably be an 80-20 vote tonight.
Maya, what's your take? Give us your reaction to this deal.
Well, I would say thank goodness we have a deal, obviously. But when the best thing you can say about a deal is we didn't blow up our country, you know we have a problem. And it's not a problem with the deal. It really is important that we pass this deal. It's a problem with how we're governing from crisis to crisis right now. And we need to use the next 8 to 10 weeks to really focus on the problem and start to deal with the federal debt.
Club for Growth said no. They'd vote no. What about you guys? What about Simpson and Bowles and company? Would you vote for this?
You got to vote for this deal. We can't believe that we're at the last moment, that we're talking about defaulting, that the government's been closed, instead of focusing on the real issues of how to reform entitlements and reform our tax code. So yes, we need to open the government and clearly get away from the debt ceiling, and then we need to focus on the real issues.
What about that, Senator Isakson? I mean, when you see this moving from crisis to crisis and this inability to get anything done, do you see this as repercussions? Do you recognize this as sort of a stalemate in business and creating more problems than the economy needs to have? What's your take on this crisis to crisis, and how do you fix it?
Look, I ran a business for 22 years. Uncertainty is the worst thing you can have when you're running a business. We certainly aren't running our country like a business. We got to get back to the business of budgeting, appropriating, doing oversight, and controlling our spending and our long-term debt and deficit. We need a wake-up call, and hopefully this last 3 weeks has been exactly that. Let's get back to doing business the old-fashioned way.
But you can say that, but how do you do it? I mean, how are we going to come together then? Let's talk about real fixes here in terms of the budget and spending and revenue.
If I may, especially when you consider that we went through this whole thing in August of 11. We had even more wrangling going on at that time, and our debt was downgraded, and we're under a threat of another downgrade right now. So what's it going to take for us to come together, Senator?
Well, two things. Remember this, in August of 2011, we came out with both an increase in the debt ceiling, but also the Budget Control Act, which has reduced spending by $1.2 trillion over a decade. That's number one. Number two, Senator Shaheen and I have introduced bipartisan legislation to go to a biennial budget, to get into oversight, to look at the programs we're spending money on and try and save some money, stop some waste, rather than continuing to appropriate for more programs. We've got to return to fiscal discipline in America.
Is that going to happen, Maya?
Well, I agree that we have to do those things, but what we also have to do, and the Senator's done a lot of work on this, we have to start working on specific entitlement reforms. We need to figure out how to save Social Security, how to fix Medicare. We've got to look at means testing, cost sharing, retirement ages, fixing the way we calculate for inflation. And on the tax side, we have to reform our tax code, and we have to think about how to generate more revenues. So we have to start talking about specific hard choices. And your question is a good one. What's going to make them do it this time when they haven't before? And I'm worried, and we need to put a lot of pressure on for us to quit this cycle of lurching from one last-minute deal to another where we don't get anything done. It's really harming our economy and our country.
Senator, what about that? What would be your solution in terms of getting your hands deep and dirty in terms of actually attacking entitlements, looking at the tax code? What are your solutions?
68% of the growth in our debt and our deficits are entitlements. We've got to means test Medicare. We've got to fix Social Security and adjust the age for eligibility. We've got to look at the Medicare Medicare program and CPI and go to change CPI. We need to look at Medicaid and its spending and maybe go to block grants in this country. Entitlements are where the money is. That's where the solutions are, and that's where we got to turn to. It's going to take tough decisions, but it's time to do it.
Last question. Let me very quickly play a sound bite. You know, Warren Buffett was on our air this morning, and he talked about what this has done to our international reputation. Here's what he said.
We've been building a reputation for proper fiscal behavior with our currency, at least, for 237 years. And the United States and we've become the reserve currency of the world in the process, and people all over the world hold our paper. So to give up or to do anything that damages a 237-year period of good behavior is idiocy.
Senator, have we damaged that reputation?
No, but we've come up to the precipice and we almost jumped off the cliff, and we can never do that. Mr. Buffett's exactly right.
But we just did it.
No, the cliff's not till tonight. We're going to get it fixed before we go off the cliff.
In other words, we came up to the cliff. You said we came up to the cliff.
And you've got to learn that lesson. It's the wrong thing to do. It's no way to run a railroad, no way to run a country.
All right, folks, thank you both for your thoughts. Senator,
Thanks so much,
let you get to the
Senator.
vote at some